Welcome to Techfile. We cover the biggest technology trends impacting our lives. My name is Kelley. Today we are talking about AI in Kenya. And of course, if you want to join up in the conversation, big up the chat. Always join the conversation. Today I wanted to stream, but we couldn't because of some reasons. So this will be uploaded just immediately. But big up the chat. Engage with us on any thought that comes up in this conversation. Something about AI is, just to demystify, is how machines are trying to mimic human behavior. And so that comes with automation, that comes with, people are talking about how AI versus jobs. So perhaps if it's trying to mimic us so well, it might take our jobs, but we'll talk about that, if it will or not. My take is it might not, or it might. So we'll talk about that later in this conversation. But in studio with me, I have Melinda Kirwa, a tech and business journalist. Thank you so much, Melinda.
Thank you for having me.
With us also we have Kakou, tech enthusiast and a digital AI champion.
Yes, correct.
Mtu mkubwa huyu. Karibu Patrick.
Yes, nimekaribika. Asanteni sana.
How are you guys doing?
Nashukuru.
We're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you used AI this morning, Melinda?
Oh yes. Best believe I've used AI. I use AI every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day. I use those. I don't know. It's just me to just use these platforms. I like things. I like easy things.
Yeah.
Our parents say like this generation right now likes things easy.
Yeah.
And it's true. Me, I just like things easy. Why should I have to struggle?
Yeah.
And I can just easily get information online. So yes,
Yeah.
I've used AI this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get like a rundown of what I was searching this morning. Yeah.
It's funny because anytime I interact with you or we are in any of those meetings, it's usually anything that comes up. Let me just ask. I'm like, wow, Melinda, can't we just leave like we went to 844 or something?
We just brainstorm our minds. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
But it's also the aspect of, okay, I usually challenge my brain because before I interact with the platform, I usually have to ask myself questions that I cannot answer, and I need someone to juggle my brain. So that's where I use now AI just to give me insights or jot ideas back and forth. Because let's say at that time, maybe during the day, not in the morning, because the morning you can't be drained. Maybe during the day where I'm feeling like a little bit drained and my brain is not thinking, that's when I actually use AI just to boost my creativity to some extent. I'm a creative. I mean, I'm creative mbaya. Anyway.
And that's the thing, because for me, I think AI is very spontaneous. Like I use it whenever I'm in a corner. But not like you pull it out for some reason, for no reason, like what can we talk about today, Melinda? Let me ask ChatGPT something. God. But Patrick, you what?
For me, I use AI mostly to wake up in the morning because of my alarm, and then the other thing is when I use AI extensively is what do you call it? Doing a research or something. Yeah.
But have you used it this morning?
Yes, this morning I used it on my alarm. That's what woke me up.
This is so basic.
I know,
that is so basic. But do you know what? That's the use.
Yeah.
That's like generally, if you think about it in Kenya right now, the extent to which we can use AI is still in the like basics. Like when you search for something, when you're trying to tag someone, when it comes up, all that is AI. When I type M and it brings Melinda on the search tab because I searched Melinda. If I type G and it's Gemini, it's the simplest AI, but is what we can use right now based on the solutions that we have right now, don't you think?
Which actually shows that AI has been there for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's only like I think post-COVID is when the thrill or the rush for AI now came into play with now ChatGPT being launched out there. So there's noise here and there about now. So now it was a competition of big techs and who is producing the best of the best in terms of natural language processing platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, things like that. So I'd say it has been there before, but now post-COVID is when we got the actual thrill and rush for what AI is and how it can be advanced, because I was watching some videos back then of how technology used to be back then, and then it was basic, but at the same time it was so advanced and it was way ahead of time. To some point now it was reduced to now basic things, and then now is when we're trying to go back to where we were before, but now trying to bring some change into how AI is going to work and how tech is actually going to work. So if you see tech from maybe 1960s, 1970s, fridge, if you want to pick something from behind the fridge, there's a way you actually pull it. You can actually open the fridge from both sides. So those videos actually showed like tech was way ahead of its time back then. So they had to slow it down. It's like they had to slow it down to some point, and then now is when the rush is coming back now for tech. You know, the future now, everyone says the future is tech, so it's not you can't meet and then they're not telling you the future is tech. So that's I think that's I use AI every single day.
And
you didn't tell us you use it this morning.
I did use Notebook LM. I've been doing assignments. I have also used Gemini to do some of the research for this particular podcast. I don't know what else I've used in terms of AI, but I think the two right now. And I think big up the chat. I'd like to hear what they use on the comment section. What AI they use, the simplest and to the complex, the most complex. And you know, funny thing about AI is it's around us, but we don't notice it. It's like it's been a buzzword for the past year or two because of GPT and the chatbots. But really, it was with us like when you tag people, and then if you edit videos using the likes of CapCut, you can remove backgrounds. Those things you do,
Adobe.
you create a whole Superman out of yourself, out of a picture that you took outside somewhere. Is AI, but it's in the simplest way that we don't really, we don't get to pinpoint and say this is AI, and because I mean, to me it's a solution, but it's not a direct solution to the market. That's why you don't see it like that. But based on the market, mentioning the market, what are your experiences in terms of the local market and innovators? Is there enough innovations in AI? Have you interacted with some? I mean, I have Aldua mentioned, but I don't know about you guys.
Start.
I think there's enough for everyone.
Innovations.
There's enough, but yet we are still getting new innovations coming up by the day. Because even right now, if you want to make beats or you want to produce a song, there's still an app for that. You can give it the genre you want, the African touch, the hip-hop touch, the
jazz,
compa, the jazz. You can give it whichever touch you want to it. If you also want a software to organize your day, how you're going to run your day, what is due, what is not, what is yet to be done, by who has been allocated this and that. There's also an AI tool for that. I feel like we've just not explored every avenue of the softwares that are available. They're there, but we just don't know. The same way the technology has been AI and technology has been existing before, but we didn't know they're AI until COVID came.
That's true. Actually, what he said about music, I saw actually a video on TikTok, someone saying the lo-fi beats, and I'm not sure if everybody is all of lo-fi beats. Actually, when you go to YouTube, there's a channel that has over, I think, 2 million or 3 million views for each.
Just chilling.
So this lo-fi beats chill. Actually, someone actually said this was created by AI, and then someone was just posting it on YouTube. So people are enjoying the beats, and they're actually made by AI. So I was shocked. I was like, people are actually making money, monetizing it, which is actually a cool thing in the global market and whatnot. But narrow down to Africa and looking at the Kenyan market, I'd say in terms of startups and innovations that are out there for AI, then there are many, but it's very rare to hear of some of them, because what I think in my own point of view, what I think they go for is, do I have an MVP to show my most valuable product? What's my most valuable product to show that I am using assistive technology in this way or that way? I'd rather just by not explain to people my idea, I need to have something practical. Now that's where most innovators are at the moment. So it's, if I don't have an MVP, then I cannot say that this is my technology or this is my innovation. I have the idea, but there's some people are actually making money from just selling the idea, and the prototype is not there. There's some people actually making money from that, getting funding out of that, you know. But I think we are not yet there. But one subsector I've seen that has a lot of innovation in terms of AI is the assistive technology space sector.
Huge.
That one has
huge,
serious innovators. In terms of edtech, fintech also. I think fintech in Africa is big. It's really huge.
Sure. It has a lot of money in it. Accelerators put a lot of money there.
And actually, those who funders, they usually like fintechs, agri-techs, you know. Those ones that are involved in climate and whatnot. Edutech to some extent. Edutech to some extent. So you find other sectors. Health tech also is also really big. Innovations are also there. But again, I'm like, in terms of using AI, we just talk about technology, but do you use AI? Are we focusing on data analytics and whatnot? So AI and data, that's a different whole topic. When we talk about a tech startup, you know, there's also the aspect of AI and data. So also as an AI champion, you know, data is very big. Sensitive. And it's a big thing.
And that's the thing with AI, it feeds on that. And the problem is we might just have a situation where people are creating solutions using illegal data because and then eventually that can be like a court case or something like that. So I think data privacy and AI will go hand in hand. And that's why, and I didn't want to jump there fast, is there's something going to Parliament to regulate how we use AI and stuff like those. But we'll talk about that. What you mentioned before was something about the startups.
Oh, yes.
And these startups in EdTech, you mentioned EdTech, FinTech, and health. It is so easy for them to make money because those are solutions. It's so easy to see a solution. Like I'll be helping people who get snake bites get their medication faster. You know, because they use this app to like blah blah blah, those things. Like when you come up with such solutions and you propose it to someone who is an accelerator, it's easier to make money. And then you mentioned something about assistive technology, and I interacted with a couple of them. I wonder why today. Let me just. I don't know why Patrick is not on his Signverse hoodie.
Hoodie.
Because I interacted with the guys from Signverse and Eddie for someone
Eli Savatia.
Eli and the other guy is called
Bernard Chira. Yes.
And then some other younger guys. There's a uni professor who is visually impaired and uses AI, and that was one of the most beautiful things I've watched in terms of seeing technology in action and how it helps people. And one of the things that came up in that conversation, what I actually appreciated was I had been covering AI for the longest time, but it's so hard to see these tangible solutions that could actually be accelerated. But once I met with these assistive tech guys, I was like, wow, this is the thing. Within the same event, there was other kids trying to come up with solutions using AI, something about autism, how to, get reports out of it, how to reduce paperwork in autism, in the processes when you go to the hospital and stuff like those. And so I thought with AI, the starting point should be in industries that are particularly, they need technology to make things work. For example, doctor versus patient ratio is still low in Kenya. So solutions there would definitely work, stuff like those. And so the thing about assistive tech is the experience I was giving you about Jonathan. He was in a room with us, like it's like a conference, and he's visually impaired. So he's seated on the panel side. So we are on this other side. He took a picture, and then and then AI described exactly what you're seeing. And the extras to that is what I think AI will beat the human intelligence, because while I'd have told him, if I was to describe to Jonathan, I just said the room is full and
people
the room is
seated.
full and people are seated and they are silent. The AI tool said the room is full the carpet is red, the room is well lit, there are photographers and videographers looking like they're taking photos and videos, because it's not very sure about that. And it described like extensively to him. And according to him, he said he's not trying to replace, I think she was called Faith, one of the assistants. She appreciates Faith, but AI looks like it could do much more, you know. And that's just something about assistive technology that one day I think we should have that conversation.
Actually, speaking of Jonathan, his experience, when ChatGPT were launching 4.0 for Omni, they also had that feature. I'm not sure if people had seen that video when they're actually launching it. There was that how you can take a photo of something in this room, and then now the ChatGPT 4.0 now actually Omni tells you, you're in a room, there's a red carpet, and you're smiling. So if you take a photo of you smiling and then you say, what is Melinda doing? It tells you, you're smiling. And then if you take a photo of yourself sad, it says, you're sad. You take a photo of someone, and then, so I think assistive, I've seen big techs taking that, adopting such technology for just even not like specifying it for persons. Okay, it's a way for them to be involved in inclusion. No, they want GPT 4.0 to be as inclusive as possible, right? But at the same time, speaking of it being inclusive, and then actually you taking a photo and it can actually help you do math. And I saw it actually helping in doing math, solving equations and whatnot, telling you what someone's facial expression is, what is in the room, what is missing on the table. You take a photo of before you had computers on the table, now you've removed it, now you ask it what is missing on the table, and then actually tell you there's a computer missing on the table. So I'd say it's a form of this big techs having to be more inclusive, but also it begs the question of, okay, we're inclusive, but are we addressing the challenges perhaps we face for persons living with disability, or persons who are, they like to be called persons who are abled differently, and I also like that term. It's persons who are abled differently. They're not disabled. Disability is not inability anyway.
Facts.
They're abled.
Fact.
Snaps fingers. Snaps fingers. So persons who are abled differently, they have different needs. Even though these big techs are finding a way to be more inclusive and whatnot, it now narrows down to innovators now addressing those things specifically. You for deaf people, they have their needs. Also under the deaf category, people need to understand we have hard of hearing. There are those who can speak but they're deaf. But those who are deaf and dumb, understanding the categories, understanding their needs, also so that you can address those needs specifically. You need to understand what, because the people who are abled differently, the community is really huge. There are those who are handicapped, there are those who are deaf, those who are dumb, those who are blind. It's a big, and then also under that category, we always forget neurodivergent people, like the way you're saying, the university student who was making a platform for autistic people and autistic children. And I saw the video, and then he was speaking about how he's developing something for early detection of autism, So we also always categorically somehow forget that there are also neurodivergent people, and they also need to be included. And that's where startups come in. That's why I say in Kenya and also across Africa, assistive technology is quickly coming up, and also it will match things like fintechs, they'll match health techs, edu techs, because now assistive technology is a big thing. People want to bridge that gap between the persons who are able differently and the community, the actual community of people. So I actually think investment should actually be channeled in terms of investment in Africa. I think it also should be channeled into that direction.
A good chunk of it.
A good chunk of it should actually go to that direction.
Before I bring up Patrick on this particularly, because again, he's the guy who rocks a Signverse hoodie. So he might just have more to say about Signverse than ourselves. And Signverse, for big up the chat, of course, tell us how you use AI in your day-to-day on the comment box. I'll engage with you directly. I hope also the guys can engage with you. Kindly talk to us. Big up the chat. So Signverse is like an AI platform, and I think I'd rather Patrick talks about it. But on the day that I met the Signverse guys who are trying to create solutions for persons who are abled differently, said. So I met also Brian Shira.
And Bernard Shira.
Sorry?
Bernard,
Yes. So Bernard, according to him, when you're coming up with solutions, that's just generally. Being inclusive could be the difference between your solution being like a global thing or just like a local thing. For example, he gave a fun fact about captions. The first time captions were created, it was a solution for people who are who couldn't hear. So captions were for those guys. And then right now we use captions. Like literally, if the room is too loud, you need captions. Sometimes we just need captions. I hate people who watch movies with captions, but
no, actually they're good.
We need captions.
Yeah, actually, what do you call it? Watching movies with captions, it can also mean that you're trying to learn a new language. So you're trying to see how things, how you're hearing, how it's written.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
For
sure. But at the same time, I'm saying
if it's an English
movie, we went to
D844.
We learned British English. Why would you be listening, reading through whatever they're saying?
I also like it that way because I got to understand, like last week I was watching a movie and it had the captions and I got to know how you actually write a subpoena. I never knew how you write a subpoena. You see, like I get new vocabularies.
You learn new words.
Yeah, I hear subpoena, the word subpoena, but I've never known how it's written.
Patrick, just do some reading, man. Do some reading. You don't have to write. You can't say you learned a spelling from a movie.
But
it works.
But some people were like that, by the way. So there's that clique of people who actually like reading through captions when they're watching a movie and whatnot. So
another thing Bernard mentioned is that's captions was once like a fresh technology. Another one he mentioned was the touch screen. So when iPhone launched its first all touchscreen device, which they were the first to do that, it was like this big thing, and we have taken it to the ceiling right now with if you look at the new S24, the screen there is like 120 hertz and the refresh rate feels like 240. The display is like, if you put on brightness to the fullest, is beyond human eye. Is like when you're under the really Dubai brightness is when you can like use that sort of nits. But it's crazy right now how we use the touch screen. But according to Shira, this was Apple took that technology from a startup that was building solutions for people who are abled differently. So a touch screen was an inclusive solution. Like it wasn't like for I don't want to say like everybody, but it was specific. It was a specific solution for a specific problem, and then you see how it has accelerated to almost everything right now. And so I agree with you, and I think, I don't know, Patrick, what you think about Signverse. I don't know what they do. Could you please introduce us to that?
Signverse basically, I've not known them that much, but interact with them quite a lot. And what do you say? They basically try to find solutions for the physically abled differently people to make their lives easier as well, because they are trying to also like make them feel more accommodated with us, because they're trying to bridge that gap with that difference, that small difference
between the deaf and the
bridging communication between hearing people and people living with hearing
disability.
So
people are able differently.
Correct.
Actually, people who actually don't know, because I've been friends with the founder for quite some time. Shout out to Ellie.
Shout out Ellie.
Ellie is a good friend.
Welcome
of
to
mine.
the podcast, Ellie.
We officially invited you.
Officially invited you, Ellie.
Anyway, I interacted with him, He started it a long time ago because actually it was called before it was called Signverse. I think this is his story to tell, but to just brush through it, he actually called it vis-a-vis before, and then things happened, and now it changed. I think that's his part to say, and then things now changed, and then now it's now Signverse. So actually, when it was vis-a-vis, I interacted with also, like they had developed an app. They're trying to bridge the gap between the deaf and the hearing.
Yes.
So now they had developed a solution where we are trying to cut down on sign language interpretation, because sign language interpretation in this country is very expensive, actually, for people who don't know. Yeah, it's very expensive, but sometimes it's not that expensive, because I'm sure you can actually get a sign language interpreter who can interpret for 1,000 bob or 1,500 Kenyan shillings, or 2K or 3K. But there are those ones who are that good, who can maybe, because there's one sign language interpreter I had asked for their rate card. Some even charge 50,000 or 30,000 for an event, to just go and sign in an event. It's actually a source of income for sign language interpreters, But at the same time, there's also the credibility of also who is signing. You might find a sign language interpreter, and you're trying to communicate to the deaf person, and this sign language interpreter is not really that qualified to be one. There's also that question of credibility. So in every profession there's the question of credibility. So you find so you find there's the information you're getting from them sometimes not even true compared to how the deaf person is signing. So they wanted to bridge that gap and bring sign language interpretation to an app. So they had developed it. I have forgotten what it was called, but they had developed it, and then now the avatar now had it was donned in the Kenyan flag, and then now they wanted to first start the Kenyan Sign Language, when they now onboarded sign language interpreters to sign some of the words so that they feed it onto this avatar. Now they create the platform. Actually interacted with it. It had a few words when it started out. I interacted with it. It was really nice. It was also teaching me how to sign some words, because I didn't know how to sign. So it's also a learning tool, That's actually really nice.
That's nice.
So I think that's what basically Signverse do now, because also Patrick is also a close friend of Ellie's and whatnot. So we actually all of us actively now involved in that space. Is actually doing great things, and it's also changing the dynamics of assistive technology. I don't know if you guys know Max. It's called Maxwell or Max. He is also in the assistive technology space. He was featured on NTV on Takeover, the Takeover show, where he's developing for handicapped people who don't have arms. He's developing a solution where it just signs as well. It can do sign language as well, and the prototype itself actually has a cool prototype. That prototype itself is for handicapped people, but at the same time also caters to the deaf community. So there is serving this community and also serving this community. So yes, that's nice. The word. It's also creating a balance. So with innovations like that one for Max, innovations like for Eli Savatia, with people like Banachira who keep on advocating for inclusiveness in the tech space, which also brings me to that question when you're talking about when he was saying Apple took this thing of the touch screen and then now actually put it on the phones. Now as a startup competing with such big techs, it also begs the question of where do you lie as a startup, because big techs will actually roll out this technology. It will help at the moment, but what differentiates you as an innovator from these big tech companies? Because they can easily buy out that idea and then integrate it and then be like, and our inclusion, we have been doing this to make sure we are very inclusive and we have people participate in that space, but also does it cater to their specific needs, because it narrows down to the needs. That's some of my thoughts.
And of course some other technologies. What I'm trying to highlight is local solutions that are using AI. And I think for assistive tech, as I mentioned earlier, is it's more tangible. But of course, there are other platforms for agriculture. I remember at some point there is a chick from Lifeline Technology. Okay. She was doing a story with one of my colleagues down here from the business desk, and for her, she has this AI tool that you set up cameras on your farm. It's agriculture. It's agriculture. Again, agriculture is huge in the region. So if you create solutions on agriculture, you get an easy market for any tool. So they set up cameras around the farm, and it detects pests, deficiencies. So it looks at the leaves and notices this is deficient in this particular, nitrogen, whatever it is, and then you do that, and then it has an application. So you literally monitor your farm from your phone. I mean, far-fetched for some people, especially if you've not scaled in agriculture, but it's something that will be used eventually somehow. It looks like a solution that I could use, So that I don't know what else you guys have interacted with. There's also something else called crop scan doing the same thing. So it's just I wanted to do like a mention, because it's not like there is no AI solution in Kenya. There is, but it's only that problem again we mentioned earlier, that for these AI solutions, usually they are startups.
And then they are in their MVP stage. So
and
the question is, how do I monetize from this innovation?
And the difference, of course, and we'd have days to talk about startups on this podcast, but today just a mention is the difference between like a small business, like we were talking offline, is like the businesses difference between a small business or a business and a startup. Is a startup, you won't handle the scaling point. You would need someone to accelerate, because it's like a global idea.
Need support,
For example, this chick who has the detectors, what if the last regime in the Big Four agenda, they decided to adopt, if they adopt, then it's them who would make it accelerate. But what if just many people wanted that? It's so expensive to set it up on people's farms. And you're being paid on subscriptions, not for them to set up, on subscriptions. So for you, what if on the first day it blows up and you get 100,000 people, and you're spending maybe 100,000 per farm, or half that? That's a lot. That's why accelerators are so important within startups.
Funding is also
sorry for diverting there. Diverging. But again, another mention, it would be unfair if I didn't mention there is a platform called Think. Think Are So Good is a startup by a guy called Brian Omwenga. Brian is one of the only techies in Kenya who I find to be a scholar, because apart from being a techie and building solutions within AI, he's also in the policy making and in the university teaching people and doing a lot of things about policy. For his startup though, he's more of like the guy who wants to localize whatever exists. So for example, he has like a smart speaker, though I've just seen a prototype. I've not like interacted with the actual one. He has a smart speaker. And the smart speaker, the special thing about it is we all have interacted with smart speakers. But the interesting thing about his is you say Nemwega, and then you can interact with it in Kiswahili, local dialect. Like he has trained it in Kisii, in Kikuyu. What else? And let me tell you something. The process of training this thing in Kisii, you know what it involves? It involves you getting a Kisii university lecturer teaching, what's it called, developers and everything, because he understands data mining. And you use him to develop this. So I met this lecturer. He was from Kisii on the day they were launching this thing. I interacted with him. I was like, wow, AI is deep in Kisii, and this guy is making a lot of money just building the Kisii language data. He's the guy. So
having the data,
so I like how far Brian is going to localize whatever is in existence. But the problem is, you ask Siri niaje, like I don't know what you're talking about, boy.
Can you
it will tell you Niger.
Niger.
Oh my god.
sawa,
Yeah.
Patrick, big up
It does,
Patrick, big up
so,
Patrick.
yeah.
Yeah.
King of puns.
And
guys.
I think you can interact with us on any solutions you think is tangible in Kenya
Innovative
and is
solutions, yeah.
localized in a way that makes AI not this global thing but tangible to us, because the thing that does is in the next generation techies
Yeah.
have like something to look at. And I don't like the idea of techies coming up with global ideas only. I like them to make it look at a local problem and create a solution in it. The same smart speaker has a chatbot. He has a chatbot. Also, you say Nemwega, you ask it in Kikuyu, you ask it in Swahili, you ask it in Kisii, it answers you. So that's how good this Think chatbot is. Yeah, it's so nice. It's so nice. Yeah, and that's local. It's from a guy who is really, I think he's focused. He's one of those guys who is into the policies, is into, look, he saw a story somewhere on one of the leading televisions. And then he called me immediately, told me, Kelley, when we were talking about the risks of AI, this is what I was talking about. Because someone had come out with like a solution for kids who are underage to have an application to tell them how they feel. And some of those things have to be regulated. And that's why I saw maybe 5-7 days ago, I saw Parliament will soon enact an AI law, which will guide and regulate the use of AI. So Melinda,
On policy.
in terms of AI and data privacy, where do we start and how important is this, AI law? For especially Kenya, you see the deep fakes. You can see Rigiji and Ruto getting down, like dance moves, and that's deep fake. That's AI. You can hear Jeff reading news or Ken Mijungu reading news about like some wild thing he would never read, but that's AI. So where how important is this law? And also, while Atit mentioned something about data privacy.
Okay. So in terms of the AI law, I think it's very, very important, because I think the biggest thing right now in Africa, in almost all summits, and even in Kenya, in almost all summits, people, I think, have the issue with policy. The first thing they always tell you is policy. If you speak to someone about AI and whatnot, how it's affecting their businesses, even people who are not like innovators, people who actually business people who own their own companies and corporates and whatnot, and have integrated AI into their systems to help fast track how their business moves and whatnot, they'll actually tell you the biggest challenge they have is policy and regulation. Which, speaking on that debate, I had a debate with Patrick. We saw something on LinkedIn on how someone was being arrested because I think they did music using AI, or it was a thing on the creative space. I forget. We were having that discussion. I was telling him, I think regulation is what stops AI from being too much. People actually think AI is going to be too much, and it's too bad, because now if you interact with someone and ask them about AI, there's someone who just brush it off and like, it's ABCD, and some people don't actually use it because they think it's too much, and that's where regulation comes in, which I think is also very important, and also because it also safeguards digital rights. I think as an AI champion, you can actually attest that digital rights are actually really important. Persons' rights, like, I don't want my information out there. My data is very important, like he said. It's very crucial, right now, and it's actually tons and tons of money. So we need to regulate, and then at the same time, when you speak about regulation in terms of having the law coming into place, this law, before it comes into place, it also needs a voice of people who are in the private sector, innovators, just the general public and whatnot, just to give their input on how they want this to feed into them. Also, people from the marginalized community in Kenya, I think they're always left out. It also begs the question of where do we lie in all this? We always hearing policies being thrown at us. All this regulation was enacted. It's now a law. All this we have this policy framework and whatnot. Sometimes they don't make sense. Some of those laws don't make sense. So inputs by the general public, investors, and people in the business community, private sector and whatnot, having their input as well is also very, very important. That's actually what I think. It's very important in terms of policy and regulation. Digital data. What's the other question? Privacy, you asked?
Yes, data privacy.
Data privacy. It's very crucial. And right now in Kenya, I think Office of the Data Protection Commissioner takes such things very seriously.
Very seriously.
Yeah, you can't just post people's information out there. Something actually I learned from Patrick the other day was that actually on CVs today, you don't write your references. You write at the end, when you do your CV at the end, the reference, you write to be disclosed upon request. That's actually something he actually taught me.
It's someone's data, man.
Yeah.
It's someone's number. I need to edit that.
Their job description and everything.
Yeah,
except for the ID number now.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot of data.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot, especially even the two names. Me, I don't like the two names just going like that.
Yeah.
Because they search you and you find a like, and I don't like this pattern.
Yeah,
because you just met people and you get a like before they left. I'm like, hey, hold up.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
Very true. The same also happens in, what do you call it? People share their data without knowing, like at the entrances of buildings or something.
Yeah.
You're told to fill in a form.
Biggest scam in Kenya.
You fill your you fill your name,
Definitely.
you fill your phone number, you fill your, what do you call it?
ID number.
In supermarkets.
Yeah.
That's, and then they send it. You know, in a supermarket, I only gave my number because I was logging on my points.
Yeah.
I want my points because I'm going to come back here. Yeah,
and definitely shop with those
but
points.
now I'm getting text messages randomly from them when they promote. I didn't sign up for that.
Yes.
True.
Also, you go to some random event and then you start receiving. Okay, this is the worst in Kenya.
Yeah.
During elections, you get texts.
Yeah, messages.
From anyone and everyone. I literally got texts from Nakuru governor, Nairobi governor, MPs, a bunch of MPs in Nairobi. I'm like, how did you get this number?
This data,
and why are you allowed to do this? And let me before I bring you in, there's something I just want to mention, so you speak on it. Because on the network of African data, I was trying to pull it out. It's a story I did on NADPA. You remember, like, an event for data privacy, and the CJ was there. That's how important data privacy is. CJ was there. How we titled the story, according to my editor, was data privacy is a legal and basic human right. This is where it was lifted, like the quote. She said, privacy is not merely a legal or regulatory obligation. It is a fundamental human right enshrined in the constitutions and international human rights instrument. It is a cornerstone of individual autonomy and dignity, essential for fostering trust in the digital ecosystem. You know, what I got from that statement, especially at the end there, first is a fundamental human right. It's your right. But at the end there, when it says fostering trust in digital ecosystem, I see people playing themselves. For example, someone comes up with a business. It's a good shop. I walk in, I get myself a shoe. I leave, you ask for my data. I give you. You have... That's a very critical time in your life. If I give you my email or my number, it's a very critical time in your life as a businessman. Because if you send me promotions of t-shirts and I bought shoes, we have a problem. If you send me promotions of leather shoes and I bought sneakers, we have a problem. So you are not like, you are playing yourself as a business, especially right now that people understand that. Like we get annoyed receiving things that we don't really like. But if that shop specifically continued sending sneakers, I'll be okay. I'll be looking at it, there's an offer. It's 10%, I'm waiting for 20%. You know, I'll be monitoring and I'll appreciate that communication. So that part where you play yourself with data also is like, you know, you cannot always get it by, you know, spamming people. You know, Melinda?
That's true. Actually, it reminded me, I was sharing an incident with Patrick a few days ago on communications job, apparent communications job. So this is what happened.
Yeah, briefly. I'll have to do the AI.
So let me divert a little bit on why data is very important. So there's this guy who reached out. I was coming from an event and I was headed back to the office. I'm in a cab. So this guy calls me and tells me, my name is Dr. So-and-so. I'm calling from the Kenyatta National Hospital and I was given your number by so-and-so. This is now one of my former bosses where I used to work. So I got your number from so-and-so and he has nominated you for a communications job at the Kenyatta National Hospital. I was like, really? And then my first red flag was this guy was speaking so quickly. You know, I'm like wondering, what is the rush? Where are you running to? Yes, calm down. Yes, breathe in, breathe out.
Relax.
Calm down, calm your chest, calm down. Yeah. So, and then he speaks very quickly and said, send me your CV right now. So I was like, this is someone I had trusted who has nominated me. So I was like, it's just a CV. So I sent like the CV. And then now he calls me again almost immediately when I'm in the office. He calls me again and then he asks, now I need to send me help, CRB, ESCC, and good conduct. I was like, why are you asking for all these documents? Because I know when you get the job is when you ask for these things. Like, where's your good conduct? Because now you've gotten the
by
job.
HR actually, not even by them.
Exactly, not by someone. HR is the one who asks for these things. Details, when you're signing the contract, you know. So now he's asking for all these things, and I'm like, okay, this is a red flag. And then now, and then I tell him, so now allow me to switch to Kiswahili kidogo. So I ask him, boss, sasa tufanyaje? Mimi sina. Akaniuliza, sasa tufanyaje? Nikamuuliza unataka tufanyaje? Akaniambia, niko na mtu hapa this building, what's it called, Huduma Center hapa Tao, anaweza kutoletua haraka. Do you have let's say 5,200 with you? Is that money you can get right now?
Right now.
I was like,
no.
Hii ni kazi gani na piano hivi haraka?
Is that money you can get right now is a con man statement.
Where are you printing worth 5,200? What are you even printing?
Exactly, right? And then as I call now my former boss and I ask him, yo, kwani umeamua kunisetiita au ni nini? Are you working with people who fraudsters? Are you working with fraudsters to give people jobs in this? Because a communication job, and I'm like, where I am right now. Because he also asked where I'm working right now. I just told him, just know I am a tech journalist for a media company. That's what I told him. Because I don't like people asking me too many questions. Why are you asking me too many questions, you know? And then now he says, I tell him, you know what, I'm sending you the money right now. And then I cut the call. So now I'm with him. And then now I call now my former boss. I ask him, hey boss, kwani mama kunifanyaje? And then my boss says, Melinda, that's a red flag. I didn't know. Don't send anything. And then he says, I didn't do my due diligence to find out, because that guy had called him saying he's calling from Kenyatta, and he got a number from a lady I used to work with, where I used to work before. So the lady had put him, see now where information for references does not need to be disclosed on your CV upon the first request. This lady had listed my former boss as her referee. You get? She had listed him as a referee. So this guy had gone to get my former boss's contact from that CV, and then now he had contacted my boss. Then my boss now nominated me and somebody else I used to work with, where I used to work, and somebody else. So the two of us. So I tell him, call the other person you had referred to, tell him not to do anything, not to send anything, not to send any CV or whatnot. Tell him not to send anything. This guy is moving so quickly. He had called even the other person who was nominated together with me, and now he's also asking for the same amount of money. You know how crazy that is? And then now, funny enough, I had not removed information from my CV for references. So now he started calling people who are on my CV. So now, when I finished talking to him, and then I told this guy, you know what, I need to see that letter of the job offer letter, because now when we're talking with him again, he's asking me, give me your ID number and also your KRA PIN. I'm like, this is too much information, boss. And then I tell him, where's the offer letter? I want to see the offer letter first, and then I'll give you this information. No, I want you to come at Kenyatta today at 3 p.m. because I want to come and sign, and then we can start the job tomorrow. And I'm like, in Nairobi, kazi gani inapeanwa hivyo haraka?
Inakuja hivyo vijana.
Yeah, because right now we'll not be speaking about we're having university students graduating, almost 500,000 every year, leaving university and not getting jobs. Can we go inapeanwa hivyo haraka? People will actually be having jobs right now. So that's why I'm saying data is very, very important, because now I had to reach out to the people who I had listed. I had to change now my CV to remove that information, just and then change it. And then now I reached out to them, and then now my references now say this guy actually started calling them, asking them to refer someone, So now it's also the aspect of we might be also, because now okay, let me not make this an age thing, but also it's an age thing, because older people or senior citizens tend to be very gullible in dishing out information in this day and era of having data protection. Older people are very gullible in having to dish out information. They can easily dish out information. That's why you would hear someone saying, oh, I was conned 30,000 Kenya shillings, I was conned 15,000 Kenya shillings, someone was conned 50,000 Kenya shillings, you know. So there's always the gullible aspect. So now when I learned it from my former boss, I was like, senior citizens or older people tend to be very gullible in dishing out information. He didn't do his due diligence, because he would have been the person to stop this person from reaching these other people, you know. He could have been the person to stop it, you know. And also this lady could have been the person to stop it, but now she could have shielded it so that we don't get this information out there. That's why I'm saying data is very crucial. Data is very expensive, you know. And then also people sometimes, to get this data is very resource intensive. People put in lots and lots of money, you know. And that's why allow me to mention this before you go on to Patrick. I saw an article from a team of journalists, I think it's New York or something, the US, I think it was New York. They were now suing ChatGPT. They took them to court, saying ChatGPT is like the way we were talking about this thing earlier on. It sources for information that is already there. And then gives you that information sounding like it's their information. So they were saying the data sets that are used to train these models and ChatGPT, the different models and ChatGPT, are sourced from news outlets. Like they're getting news from news outlets without their permission. So the data that is used to, the data sets that are used to mine this thing, the information is gotten from your information, is gotten from your information, something you wrote 15 years ago. That is what is being used like right now. They're using that information to train ChatGPT. And that's why they were saying this is news from our news outlets. It's now discrediting us, because now people are more reliant on ChatGPT. They don't want to engage. And then also you find maybe ChatGPT is bypassing paywalls. You know, one thing about media houses, they have paywalls. So if you go to and read a blog or
let me just say this paywall. Go to standardmedia.co.ke right now and read some of our premium stories right there. That's what we are talking about, paywalls. But if it will prompt you to pay, in this case you are saying that chatbot bypasses
bypasses now paywalls for news outlets. So now news outlets are left like, this is a revenue source for us. So now what happens to that source of revenue that we have been wanting, because there's advertising and whatnot, but there's also the paywall, the premium articles, you know. So if it's bypassing, now it's getting information that we don't want it to be out there, not unless someone pays for that information. So there was that issue I saw in the US. I don't know how that that thing went, but it goes down to attribution, Melinda, because on the web, the web is filled with creative content that was not free to come up with. But it turns out these chatbots can tell you 5 on under 20k fonts ideas. Yet Kelley was the one who did a review of 5 fonts, went out of his way to buy them and say this is the best, this is the top 5, this is like this. But if you ask ChatGPT, it will just tell you, it will list it down. Sometimes not even source unless you prompt it to source. That's why I like Gemini more. But still, on that, on the thing that Melinda, I don't know if you finished your thought, Melinda. Yes, I finished.
So when Melinda was mentioning something about the jobs and everything, so I wanted to switch it up now to AI. And that the thing about senior citizen you were saying is the them being gullible is because of the tech gap between them and us.
Yes.
Because for us, we grew up with smartphones. For them, they didn't. So that should be the gap. And then for them, they might just give the number without thinking or subscribe to a website. For us, we used to be like, subscribe, you get emails, I don't want emails, so next time I'm not subscribing. You know. So you know not to accept cookies, blah, 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 all those things. But on AI and jobs, Melinda mentioned something about jobs.
Yes.
So on AI and jobs, what's the sweet spot, Bernard? Because Patrick, because some people think, and I hope all of us give our thoughts, is that because of the automation and the machines learning our intelligence, AI might replace jobs. What do you think about that?
I think we are far from AI replacing our jobs. Because as per right now, what AI is doing, AI is just trying to make our work easier in the workspace. It's trying to tell us that instead of going this long way, there's a shorter way of doing this, and then move to something else while you are in the office or in your while you're in your corporate space or something, or
working from home.
Working from home. So like in the event AI is gonna really replace what do you call it, the human all jobs, it will really take time because what we've seen so far is maybe robots in the factories, the manufacturing of
different
you can name it,
things,
phones, glasses, wood, anything, furniture, laptops, you can mention. But again, we are yet far away because they still need human supervision. The same way Jonathan did not get rid of his assistant just because he can take a picture or a video and then he can listen to what's around him. He still needs the human touch.
Sure.
So like the human touch is still needed for proofreading, verifications, proofreading in terms of articles on the post, on the blogs, fact checking,
for deep fakes.
Deep fakes. And also like to also add input to localize the content as well, because sometimes AI can just give you the international view of things, whereas if it had a human touch to it, it will give you like the Nairobi version of that story.
Or that's like a good tech, man. It's an AI champion.
So and
the human touch. The human touch.
The human touch.
The human touch.
So like for me, I see like it's still far. Because even if I think of the most crucial jobs that cannot be given to AI, like let's say a doctor, we have what else? Like someone like a doctor. A doctor is really far from being replaced because a doctor can really think critically and decisively based on the situation. Like you have a broken kidney, so I have to weigh like the kidney I'm going to replace you with is this type of blood group or has these conditions, and if I put it in you, how is it gonna work? It's the only one that's available.
Patrick, sorry to cut you off on the doctor's thing. They cannot be replaced, especially on the human touch bit, because you get to interact with them like that. The thing about AI though, the biggest form of it, like the ones that use really bigger CPUs, were used in hospitals and some of the law firms. So in hospitals is where Melinda is a doctor, Patrick is a doctor, Kelley is another doctor. We are doing research on a particular solution. No matter how much we can think about that solution, it is so hard for us to like, it will take us years to come up with some, but sometimes if you feed the data that comes from Melinda, for Patrick and myself, that AI, if well trained, could help the doctor advance their research, but not replace the doctor.
Yes,
you know,
it can't,
but it can help advance the research. I just wanted to mention, and for lawyers, books or papers that they are supposed to summarize for their hearing can take a lawyer days and days, and it's the biggest part of work, which is paperwork. AI tools right now can summarize that thing within hours or minutes. So, I mean, borderline. But at the same time, the human touch.
Exactly,
The human touch
is very important.
Very important.
Patrick.
So basically, it's gonna take time
before it actually replaces jobs.
It really actually does.
But do you think it'll actually ever replace jobs?
Maybe in my afterlife.
Ever.
Maybe in my afterlife.
ever. And then I just want to take this time to say it's 57 minutes in. Big up the chat. I'd like to hear what you think about AI versus jobs before Melinda gives her take, because I don't want you to lift Melinda's thought. Give us your thought on AI versus jobs. We hear what you think, and then as we listen to Melinda right now.
Yeah, so I think there's some jobs that will become non-existent because of the AI, how it's, but there's some jobs that will not, digital jobs that have been there before, like maybe let's say virtual assistant and whatnot, might become non-existent. Just handle keyword, pin it up there. Might become non-existent because now it brings room for having new other jobs come into play. You get? So some jobs might be done for, but some others now, if this one is done for, it brings in this job that was done for, but in a better way, in a more technical way. So I think what we need to do now, especially in the workforce, is upskilling and reskilling. So you might be skilled in your sector. I think that I strongly believe that there are some jobs that might be done with when it comes to, like, for example, but I'm not that too sure, things like copywriting and whatnot. If an AI tool can actually do that, why do we actually need it? But again, there's the option of having to reskill and upskill so that you can match. And now, because now people fail to understand that first things first, this AI needs training, and actually is trained every single day. The Gemini models or the ChatGPT models that we involve ourselves with, or the different AI models that we engage with every single day, we are actually training them every single day. That's some things that they actually don't get, because most of these things are open source, and if something is open source, it actively picks information that it doesn't know. And I've actually trained ChatGPT a couple of times in terms of answering riddles and whatnot, and issuing like information that I need to hear and whatnot. So I'd say some jobs might become non-existent, but also brings in the aspect of upskilling, reskilling, and learning new skills, in the tech space, so that we, in the workforce, we're not only saying that the tech is for young people, Gen Zs, like the way they like calling us. Anyway, Gen Z.
yo.
I'm tired of hearing that name. Anyway, so where you have Gen Zs, millennials, Gen Y, and whatnot, Gen Alpha. Instead of saying it's for us, I'd say it's time to reskill, upskill, learn new skills, add that technical skill that you don't need. Even right now, easy way is just getting a 2 weeks or a 3 weeks or a 4 weeks course, a simple one, or a 6 weeks course. Actually, LX Africa, shout out to LX Africa, have really nice short courses that actually really help, like the AI career essentials one. I know.
Shout out Alex.
Yeah. So like such courses, they actually help you understand, like, you can be in your career or in your space or in your corporate space, but you need AI to do this. You need AI to help you do this. And then also at the same time, I think AI won't replace jobs, like the way Patrick is saying, for a long time, because they tend to make a lot of mistakes. Technology at the very first beginning, it's always testing, but trying to see if this will work, this will not work, sandboxing some of them just to see if it works, doesn't work. And I think that's where Google is at the moment. They like testing a lot. Shout out to Google.
Few errors, trials.
Yeah, trials, few errors, and like search labs, like Google search labs right now. When you Google something and then it brings search labs first before it actually brings you what is down there. So people who have interacted with search labs might tell you search labs is experimental up till now. So we don't know when it actually be rolled out as something that's actually out there as a product, So some of these things are in the test stage, whatnot. So I think there'll be a lot of testing because there's a lot of errors. Sometimes because they are being trained, they don't know. They're trying to mimic you, so they're actually trying to be trained to be like you, So they are not actually you. So you're actually training them to be you, and then also Yes, and process information, and then also predict. Sometimes it might predict and it might not be accurate, and then it might be false, or it has just it's very imaginative.
Yeah.
AI is very imaginative sometimes, so it just creates scenarios in its head, and it gives you that response, so you actually think this is the future and this is how it's going to look, but sometimes it's not actually the truth,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think good text.
Yeah.
I think for me, AI versus jobs, I think is like I always say, I think Melinda has heard me say this, is if Patrick is coming up with an AI solution right now, and he is in the, say, manufacturing industry, so many people in the manufacturing industry who will not be coming up with such solutions would lose their jobs. Or say if you are in insurance, or if you are like I don't know what is a proper example of like maybe a law firm, maybe you own a law firm, right now as a young person. If Patrick started a law firm right now and he does not integrate AI, most of his deals would go away to people who have integrated AI, because they're faster.
Yes.
I don't know, there's something about
seamless.
it's seamless. So for me, AI versus jobs is like, it's not going to replace jobs, because if myself or Patrick comes up with an AI solution, and that AI solution accelerates into this big company in Kenya, trust me, it's a lot of jobs that have come up with from ground up.
Yes.
It's not just about AI. It will be a lot of jobs, and it will be that, like this whole organization that feeds into the economy. The thing, it will create jobs. It's just like a new tool to create jobs. The only problem is, if you don't adapt, if you're a camera person and you don't adapt to AI, you get to lose that job to a person who knows the perks around AI. Because you come to Standard Group tomorrow, you are being interviewed for a position, and because it's digitally aligned, they ask you, Melinda, how many tools do you use in AI? And then you're blank. And they ask Patrick how many tools, and he has a bunch of tools. They take Patrick. Because
Definitely.
it's like the new tool. It's like like I always say, AI is the tool that mimics how social media came. Social media, at first, you remember parents used to like want to beat us away from social media. But right now they are more active. And right now is integrated. It's no longer looked as a tool. It's like, it's platforms, is part of our lives. I think AI also, if you don't utilize that tool, you might, as a journalist, walk into a newsroom, be asked all the questions about your creative processes. You are so good, but at the end, if you're grilled about AI, you miss out, because you just don't know how to use the tools, or you're not using the tool to advance some of the things that you're doing.
And that's why there's also the issue of skills gap and whatnot, because maybe you get, like, for example, in Kenya, investment that is going in by government in the ICT sector. Sometimes it doesn't reflect the investment they put. It doesn't reflect on the economy, because sometimes there is the lack of skills gap, which I saw on a daily here for the entrepreneur for Standard. I saw there's the issue of skills gap, so having those skills is very important. That's why I'm saying we need to have more you being in that space of willing to learn these skills, willing to set time out of your normal days, because people have 24 hours in a day. And then those 24 hours, if you split them into 3, you have 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. So the first 8 hours is the one that you use to sleep. The other 8 hours is the one for work. And the last 8 hours is now the 8 hours you need to section. What do I need to do in the first hour? What do I need to do in the second hour? In the first 30 minutes, what do I need to do? So in that 8 hours, you can even schedule some time to at least have time to learn these skills, in AI, so that you are fit for a future job market that requires someone who is in the travel industry and has interacted with AI, someone who is in let's say banking sector and is more knows how the technology works, so that's what I think.
Again, big up the chat. I want to hear what you think about AI versus jobs. What do you think? Will AI replace jobs? Or are you aligned with Patrick, Melinda, or myself? Just tell us on the comment box, and we'll interact with you. And then, speaking about AI versus jobs, AI, it is like this thing that's why I say it's like a new tool. It touches on every industry. This month, Melinda, you mentioned, is like cybersecurity month.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. our senior citizens again are a target.
Yeah,
Because according to the Communications Authority, in 2023, we experienced 860 million cyber attacks in Kenya. In Africa, we are third. Behind, you can guess, of course.
Yeah, South Africa.
And?
Nigeria.
It can't be that obvious.
They call themselves the
It can't be
giants of
that
Africa.
obvious. Yeah, it can't be that obvious.
But we're Silicon Savannah.
Yeah, but that said, the matching thing between us and them is tech advancements. You know, the penetration in technology and the idea of youth who are into innovating is across Nigeria, Kenya, and SA in Africa.
Yeah.
And it's very vibrant. Even in North Africa, but I'm never... I don't know.
North Africa, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't... Because, I mean, they have money.
Yeah, they do.
So, yeah. But AI and cybersecurity is like... I was with the guys from Cisco. They set up a very good spot at cybersecurity experience spot at the University of Nairobi in partnership. Yeah. So you get to see the extent of cyber attacks in Kenya. You get to experience it with VR headsets. It's crazy, and it's good tech. But what came out of it was what I learned from it. It was early in the year. Was now that there is AI, cyber attackers. The attackers get to automate their attacks. Like they don't have to click Melinda, click Patrick. No. Click Kenya, man. Click the guys in Nairobi. So they like, randomly get 100,000 guys and just wait for that one to fish out, and then they fish out. So automation is also helping attackers.
Yes.
At the same time, automation is helping defenders. I want to call them defenders. But what is the name of cyber protectors? There's a word.
Yeah, there's a word.
Or cyber professionals.
Yes.
Cyber security professionals. It's helping them to fight it back. So even Cisco is using AI to fight them back. Like you automate your systems to, if they see this pattern, this is a cyber attack. So they notify the system this is a cyber attack, and then the system also cancels it. So you don't have to see. You can see the numbers. It's as good as, have you ever received an email and you didn't? And then you go to the spam and find why. It's because it had this characteristic. It had like a link. It's a good email, but the link maybe pointed to the AI and said, no, this might be something else. Manze na ni ticket ya kuenda. So
a link folder.
It's only that ni ticket
ya.
Ni ile tu ni ticket ya Qatar Airways, and it's written in a different...
And then so you actually click it at this time,
yeah. So I think the overlapping roles of AI in different sectors cannot be overlooked. And so in cybersecurity and the cybersecurity month, Melinda, what do you think about cybersecurity month first, and then you can marry it with AI?
October is usually the month for cybersecurity, where basically a lot of organizations create awareness about cybersecurity, cyber awareness, being aware of that online space, the threats that are on that online space, how to safeguard oneself, There's always, in cybersecurity, there's always the aspect of me first. And then now, those around me or the organization that I'm in and whatnot, how we protect ourselves, how we protect the data we have, how we don't get too exposed, because there's some people who like their information very private, so they don't want it to be too exposed, which also, as in celebration of cybersecurity month, it also reminded me of this guy I saw on X. Man, he tweeted that he hacked NASA. It was recently. He hacked NASA, and then now he went through their system in the cyber. I think he's a cyber expert or something. He went through their system and found loopholes, and then and then gave NASA recommendations and told them, this is what is wrong with your system. Actually told them, I hacked your system. I went through your system. These are the loopholes you have in your system. And then he sent them. Actually, NASA sent this guy a certificate to say thank you. It said, dear, and then that person's identity, like their numbers, Y7AH, what.
Encryption.
Exactly, the encryption. Thank you. The encryption. He sent this guy, dear so-and-so, and then thank you for your input on the system, because they acknowledged this guy actually hacked our system and he found loopholes in our system, and he actually gave us feedback on what we can work on to make sure the system is safeguarded. So if I'm places like that guy would have actually been given a job at an instant like this. In Africa, Please don't crucify me, but they'd first think you're a terrorist. Like, why are you hacking our systems?
What are you doing?
What are you doing on our systems?
Like 6 foot and
Yeah. what?
I don't know why I don't have those
Yeah.
soundtracks. Patrick has some
Oh my
special
God.
gems here.
I know, right? This guy is puns. Anyway, so now, like, the first thing we think you're a terrorist, they don't see this as a platform for having you coming on board because you're skilled in this, in cybersecurity and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then that time, Kenya, the government was facing an issue. There was a time there was a cyber attack, and the group was, I don't know, South Sudanese, I don't know, I forget. They were called something on Telegram.
Yeah.
They were hacking out governmental, the government sites and websites and whatnot and services. So it was paralyzing even for banks. Even M-Pesa at that time was not working. You call M-Pesa, I called Safaricom at that time, I was doing the article.
Yeah.
For where I used to work, I did an article like Safaricom. They say M-Pesa is working well, but people you actively interact with them say M-Pesa is not working. Until now you have to use the normal SIM application for the phone. You can't use the M-Pesa app, or you can't use the Safaricom app to actually. At that time when the government was being, the services were being hacked, different sectors were being affected. People now e-citizen.
Yes. That was a blast. That was a blast. E-citizen.
Yeah. So now you see. And then there was this time, I don't know, it has to be last year or 2022, where we had people speaking on X. I don't know if people will relate to this. People from Bomet are hacking now. People, because I don't know if people are aware, but cybersecurity, for the most part of it in Kenya, I've had it being talked about in areas like Bomet and whatnot. Like actually those people who understand cybersecurity and whatnot. But we have people who understand, don't get me wrong. But at the time I had that people from that sector or that side are the ones who are more skilled and understand how hacking works, whatnot. So for those youths who are there, I think the county government and even the government don't see that this is an opportunity to have these people come on board. If they can hack, they understand how this works actually, And then also security is very important, so that you're not too exposed to things. That's where we safeguard even children from accessing these spaces and whatnot, just to keep them safe, not too exposed, because ultimately they'll be exposed, but we want to safeguard them, not to turn out like the way these people are. So cybersecurity is very important. Having laws in place to enhance and safeguard against threats and whatnot, policy frameworks among organizations, whatnot, I think is very important. But shout out to that guy in NASA. I think even now he's been given a job.
Yeah.
Guy.
Big shout out.
Yeah,
big shout
man.
out.
He even tweeted about it. People were retweeting. I was like, hey, yo, that's really dope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
Patrick,
Thoughts on cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity and AI.
That's a very sensitive topic, man. Yeah, cybersecurity. First of all, it all boils down to awareness. Like, we all need to spread awareness to even our gullible citizens. As mentioned earlier, we need to educate them more. We need to make them understand what this is. Even the younger generation that are in kindergartens and stuff, we need to explain to them that these things are prone to happen in the near future. So this is how we prepare for it. This is how you detect it. This is how you can tell, like, this is actually a cybersecurity or some or a threat. So for me, I think number one, it all boils down to education, and then number two is basically how to identify it and how to mitigate it. Like you said earlier, AI these days can just automate the cybersecurity. AI has been brought to as also
make hacking easier.
Made a platform to accelerate hacking. So we should all be more aware and less gullible to cyber attacks.
And I like his thought of process, because it starts with me. People think cybersecurity is for corporates, is for big companies, but cybersecurity starts with myself. Because if I lose my logins to my social media, I have been hacked. That is an issue. there's also the issue of phishing through emails and whatnot. You get or through messages and whatnot. Simple messages like nitumie kwa hii number, mam nimefukuzwa shule wanataka sijui pesa ngapi. You've seen those emails. People everyone, okay, no, not almost, okay, almost everyone thinks that people want committee who just want money. And some people who actually just send this kind of money. What mtu atakwambia wewe ni mtu wa committee, anaona sasa anataka kunionini. So people are actually looking for money out of this. So it starts, I agree with him, it starts with us. It starts with who we are, you know, because this is a space that's too, the exposure is too big. And you never know, like one day these people might hack you and make you disappear from this world. Might hack you and then put your details in somebody else. Somebody out there is using your information, using your image to be you out there, and you don't know. You know. So it starts with us. It starts the awareness. Actually, capacity building starts with us, and that's why cybersecurity is very important for. And then I think that's why most companies the entire world like celebrating it in October, just to make sure people are aware that this is what goes on, this is what you can do to mitigate, like he's saying, this is what you can do to mitigate or to identify it first. Like, I need to do this to make sure I'm secure.
Fun fact.
And also,
sorry, finish, Melinda. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Just carry on, it's fine.
I was saying, fun fact of what you guys are mentioning is in cybersecurity. For example, a company like this, the first layer of protection is educating your people. So 80% of cyber, threats or whatever, they come in through the employers. So if you just tell them, such emails are like this, don't do this and don't do that, you've already blocked 80% of it. The rest is 20%. IT can deal, and if it happens, then we tried, but the first layer is usually just the awareness that don't click these links coming in through your email like this, like that, and give your contact there and there. Kidogo mtapata your Instagram is posting some, some, graphic literature.
Allow me to add this, cookies. Please, this goes to everyone. If you're watching this right now, this goes to everyone. Please stop clicking on cookies. Just stop. When
educators, Melinda.
So what I think, because even Google wanted to do away with cookies. There was because I attended here in the development center that they have in their offices here in Kenya. We had a media roundtable where Google was saying they want to do away with cookies, but at the same time there are different categories of cookies. There are the necessary cookies, because even when you want to manage your cookies, I'm not sure if both of you have interacted, like if you go to a website and say manage cookies,
I just trust cookies from CNN and Standard Group.
You see,
I don't trust any cookies.
You don't trust any. You deny,
I don't always deny. What I always do is I look at the cookies that they're offering me first. I want to know.
You do?
Yes.
I want to know. You guys are good.
Me actually do, and I switch off analytical.
If I cannot reject, I cannot enter. That's my thing.
But my issue is the reason why you cannot enter is because you need to highlight essential cookies or necessary cookies only. So every website, I'd advise you, if you go to any website and then it asks you, do you want cookies or do you want to manage the cookies, switch off everything else and then say necessary cookies or essential cookies. Those cookies are important because they keep the website running. People don't know. People don't know that those cookies help the website to keep running. So they're very important. So you need to click on those ones to be there, and then izo zingine just switch off. Why are you interested? Because the moment you click yes on all of them, sometimes perhaps you entered an email on this website, it picks that email. Sometimes you entered a phone number on this website, it picks that. Sometimes, and that's where targeted advertising comes in. Allow me to digress just a bit.
Go ahead.
That's where targeted advertising comes in. People are seated, like we're seated here, and then I have my phone here, and then I say, and I've been looking to buy a Mercedes C-Class, but I don't know what the price is in Kenya. The moment I open this phone, I'll go on Instagram, I see sponsored content on Mercedes C-Class vehicles. I go on Google, I see sponsored content, and that's where targeted. It's like your phone is listening to you. You know, people
Your
say
phone is listening to you, man.
yes.
Yeah.
After this, you'll get a lot of AI stuff coming up in your phones.
You see?
And that's like a problem for me.
Yeah.
That's a problem for me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mention Google because they're doing is Google. Because I don't see any other tool on my phone unless Apple, and they are very good with securing your data. Yeah, they don't just give you. There's always a step after you download any application.
Yeah.
You give them rights. You deny them on the settings. So direct. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's either the other websites, like when you're on Google or some of those, they listen to you.
Yeah. So and then one thing I noticed about Google that time, they were saying they cannot. They work with different websites that are on the Google platform, with different websites are on there. Sometimes you cannot regulate what they do on that website, but they try to mitigate. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes if you go and then they tell you to click on cookies, click first and manage those cookies so that you don't give them your information. Just click on the essential or necessary cookies, or sometimes it'll tell you necessary cookies only. Just click that. So
message to senior citizens, actually.
Please, the necessary. Don't click on. Stop clicking cookies, honestly. That's because now you say it starts with us. It starts, even Patrick said it starts with me. You know?
It's a misconception people usually have that if they don't click on the cookies, they won't get access to that website.
Yeah.
What you need is actually one cookie. It's usually either analytical or
necessary or essential cookie. Yeah.
Only the two.
Yeah.
Only one.
And the other thing is just trying. So analytical cookies, those ones are the ones now that they gauge. Oh, you interacted with our website. You are interested in this kind of information. That's why for you pages like for TikTok is tries to analyze like what type of content are you interested in. So it keeps pushing that content in front of your eyes, so you actually see that. So that's how it analyzes like who you are. Your algorithm. Everyone has an algorithm. Every tech has an algorithm, so it learns who you are.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, guys? I want to close this podcast. I think we can go on and on about AI. I have a lot more to talk, but because we are 120 in, I don't know what you think. Last thoughts, Melinda.
Yeah, just say, since you're celebrating cybersecurity, just stay safe on these online spaces. AI is here to stay with us. Power of singularity, we're having this discussion.
Before we close, power of singularity. Let's extend this for a minute. Power of singularity, Melinda. Do you believe in, and just to demystify that, is AI singularity is like a hypothetical concept where AI exceeds the human intelligence.
Yes.
So do you believe in that?
No. Funny enough, no, I don't believe in the power of singularity simply because human touch, like you said. The AI cannot exist without us. Sometimes it might make predictive, and then you actually see this is so super, this is so brilliant and whatnot, but sometimes it can be faulty. AI can be faulty. It can have so many mistakes, but I find it, I take AI as something that is here to be assistive. It might mimic who I am. It might do things like me. At the same time, it can never be me.
Right.
So without the human in it, it can never exist. That's why I'm saying, basically.
Patrick, do you believe in the power of AI singularity?
I'd say a big yes and a no, but I'm strong on the yes at the moment because if what do you call it? If AI can think like us and can also try to be better than us in one way or the other, then I believe if we do not have proper regulations put in place, then the power of singularity might just take over.
So AI can actually take over.
Because I'm even afraid, I'm even worried that in a court of law in the near future, with this the way we can edit videos, and photos, and also audio content. It will be so hard for a court to decide whether this evidence is concrete enough for a case.
True.
It might feel doctored.
That is so common in the United States. In Kenya, I'm not sure about the audios, videos, and photos if they do take that in a court of law. But it's going to be a challenge.
I saw yesterday the deputy president, Big G, took a lot of videos. I was vibrant. Like, if you did this,
he was in Bunge,
I'm gonna do that.
So he was actually there.
I was so happy.
With a lot of videos. I was like, so and then you sit down and you think, like, I saw this on the news the other day. And you're like, this is not doctored. This is actually something that actually happened. Yeah. And then speaking of fun fact, I saw a video of Mike Mushiri, and then he explained the way he was so disappointed in Kenyans on Facebook. There was a picture of Rihanna. AI, like Rihanna has a forehead, yeah, we know. Rihanna, the artist, has a forehead, yeah, we know. But the AI had exaggerated, like her hair had started nyuma, and then the kid she was carrying is like a replica of her, and then it was a girl. So Mike Mushiri said, "Oh, this is AI. Let's go to the comment section." And then he said, "Kenyans on the comment section, ati she gave birth to her own self and whatnot." Mike Mushiri then asked, "Are people so gullible to deep fakes like this? People don't know this is AI." And then he said, at least one person in that comment section said that even if this is AI, she actually looks beautiful in AI, you know? Because you're saying, Mike Mushiri was saying, Rihanna has boys. So the fact that there's a baby girl in this photo should actually raise questions, because, hey, ukiangalia comment sections like, hey, guys. So people actually don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Deep fakes.
Deep fakes.
Fake encourages fake news.
Yeah.
And that's the risk of AI.
Yeah.
So one day I think we should just directly talk about AI risks in general.
Yes.
But in the power of singularity, I think I strongly believe in it, because I'm a techie and I believe the ceiling is not so close to us.
Yeah.
And the sky is just the view, is not the limit, if I think about technologies and how they impact us. And so I believe one day, based on how we consume content right now, we are less likely to be so smart, better than a machine that is very vast. Because remember, NVIDIA is creating better chips right now. So computers are going to accommodate a lot. And so you train it to the limits. In a way, maybe you have a security guard that's a robot, and then it looks at you like, why are you drunk, man? Why are you staggering? Slap the taste out of you. So singularity it is. I'm thinking, if I don't, then I'll be playing myself, because I believe in tech. I feel like it has like the sky is the view for tech, so we can do a lot with it. So but it's not like I'd want it to end badly. I'd want it to really like make us so pedestrian that my great grandson can just live, work from the same spot for the whole year without having to travel, having to do a lot of things, those things that are actual solutions. Because I was interacting with some professor at UON, and his stress was he's supposed to go to the States and he's flying economy. And he's supposed to go back there in November, and he's supposed to. So those things, I'm like, yeah. So eventually, if tech was advanced and did some things for us, I could send there my own boat. So yeah, I think that's it for us today. Unless someone else has something to add,
I'd like to close on the cybersecurity thing again. What do you call it? In as much as AI was meant to make our work easier by saving our passwords and whatnot, using an AI tool on our browsers. Again, it all boils down to what are we willing to lose in case of a cyber attack. Because if you're used to saving your passwords on the browser, if you in the event of a cyber attack, you may lose all those login details. But that's not it. Depending on how risky that is for you. But again, things like credit cards and whatnot are not advisable to save on the
online
browser.
platforms.
So
to remember those details. No, people
it's
remember me.
No,
just write it down.
Write it down.
Patrick,
cancelled.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Melinda,
It's been a pleasure.
asante sana.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a good conversation. We've had this conversation before, so it's not new to us. And where can they find you, Melinda, if they were to not fish you?
Socials. On pun intended, I see. Pun intended. Anyway.
I'm active.
You find me on Instagram at Jemayo, Jemaiyoh, Jemayo. And then Melinda Kirwa on X. Yeah, I think it's just X and TikTok. Or no, it's just TikTok. I just watch videos there. So so Instagram and X. Those are the platforms you can find me.
Nice. Patrick?
For me as a cyber professional, my social media presence is so limited, and but the one that is to the public is you can fish me on LinkedIn
Yeah.
with my name's Patrick with a CK at the end and Kakou as my last name.
Yeah.
Also on LinkedIn, Melinda Kirwa. Let's
Nice.
engage. I engage a lot on LinkedIn, guys.
true.
Yeah.
Definitely find me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Me, I think you should just go on YouTube and type Kelley, Kelley, L-E-Y. So it's not the art Kelley. It's Kelly. And consume any video there. I don't want you to fish me in any other platform. I'm okay, but if you need to reach out, though,
Yeah.
use the same name. I think it's quite different from the rest,
Yeah.
and you'd find me. Big up the chat one more time. I think we've had a very good conversation, guys. I'm so happy you guys came.
Yeah.
And you're always ever supportive, Melinda.
Ever.
And
Day one.
always tagging along Pat,
Yeah.
which is
Like-
cute and nice. I
like
like
close
that.
friend,
I
yeah.
like that. I like that so
We're very
much.
close, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I
Fun
like
fact.
that.
Always prepared for short notices.
Yeah, short notice.
Yeah.
Calling this a short notice.
These guys
Yeah.
throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Imagine. No, but yeah.
Yeah.
I like walking around with him because I like the way he thinks and whatnot. Because that's the kind of people. That's what I'm telling you. You find me most of the time with Ellie. You find me with him most of the time because I like the way he thinks.
Yeah.
I like the input he gives. We're very, really close, and we work on a couple of projects here and there together. Yeah. So if people actually know us, we work together most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are who you interact with most of the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good AI conversation. And remember, we will be talking about such topics every Wednesday. Other days, we'll be talking about startups. On Tuesdays, maybe on Thursday, maybe internet. We have experienced internet shutdown recently. On the internet day, we'll talk about fintech also, and Internet of Things. And on Friday, sometimes we'll talk about gadgets and electric EVs, e-mobility space in Kenya.
E-mobilities, yes.
It's huge right now. I like the money is coming in. I like the stance of the president because at least for him, he's like, he wants it, even though he wants it for the climate money, but he wants it. So
Yeah.
I like the fact that the policy, they've already discussed it somewhere. The minister is always talking about it, is always attending the events. And so for as long as we are active like that, once they become cheaper, we can always have them.
Yeah.
And so we'll be talking about e-mobility and gadgets on such days. But on Mondays, I'd like us to talk about startups and innovation.
Yes.
Any of those days, we'll always have Melinda and Patrick on set.
Yes.
And I'm hoping you have enjoyed their thought processes. And so they'll be coming back. One more time, I like the fourth person on this podcast who is the audience. In fact, it's the first person. I'm the second and third and fourth. So with the audience, so big up the chat. Continue talking to us. If you interact with me on YouTube, I always reply. So I'm looking forward to your thoughts on AI in Kenya and your experiences. Some of the things that you're using right now. What do you think about AI versus jobs?
Yes.
What do you think about the power of singularity?
Cybersecurity.
Yes,
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It was really
Data,
nervy.
digital rights.
Yeah, digital rights. What's your experience with the data phishing, especially your numbers in Kenya? Have you ever received a political campaign directly on your text?
Yeah.
And you really don't know this person. And if
Yeah.
you call them, they wouldn't pick up. So I'm wondering, what's that? So what do you think about those? What are some of the tools that you use right now? What do you think about that Parliament will soon enact AI law, to regulate AI?
Yes.
I mean, we think it's a good thing because of the limits of AI, but what do you think about that? Thank you very much for being with us. That has been Techfile. See you on the next episode.